Hi guys, it's Katie here from Creativa, and today I'm going to be embellishing the pages of the Broderie Mini Album that we have been creating. So far we have completed all of the pages and put in all of the inserts and tags. So I have used a digital collection to mat all the pages in this album, and that digital collection is from Knitwits and it's called Always and Forever, and I'll put a link in the description box below in case you'd like to go and have a look at that yourself. And the ephemera pieces that I'm using to decorate it mainly come from that collection as well. So I'm just rifling through this little box and trying to decide what I'm going to put where. And I have tried to plan ahead a little bit so that this video doesn't go on forever. And I have already created some little bits and pieces. So I'm just rifling through and trying to find one little love heart that seems to have disappeared. So once I find that little love heart that is in that pile there, there it is. I'm just going to pop it above those other two. And this piece that I'm sticking down now with some glue is a little label from the Knitwits collection. And I have just put a couple of little brads on either side of it and backed it with some scrapbook paper. Now this piece here that I'm having some problems with, I'm going to get another bottle of glue and try that. This is a stamped image from a Kaiser Craft stamp collection. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially it is a label which I have backed with a bit of scrapbook paper, and then on the front it has a little flower from the Knitwits collection which I have given a coat of glossy accents to, and also a little diamante in the centre there. Now I'm just sticking down those little love hearts, and that's as much decorating on the inside cover as I'm going to do. The first page of the album is the set of doors, and I'm not going to embellish those anymore. So once I've stuck down those little love hearts and pop the inserts back in there behind that little accordion pocket and flip over to the next page. So on the next page I have a belly band from memory, and so let's have a look. Open it up. Yes, there's a belly band. Right, so I'm going to put a flower in the centre of that belly band, and the flower is from the collection, and I've given it some glossy accents, and I have also put a diamante in the middle. Now I'm using this diamante strip on the belly band, and I'm actually going to cut that strip down a bit because I want it to sit quite flat. So I want to stick the flower on the cardstock itself and not on top of that strip. So I'm just trimming that strip off a little bit in half, and I'm going to try and centre it on the belly band, which is never, no, can't do it that time, maybe the second time, no, third time. Yes, success, it's kind of centered. So now I'm going to put a piece of that diamante strip on the bottom half of my belly band, hopefully with more success than I did the first time. So I'm just trimming that little section off, and then I'm going to try and stick it down, and that looks pretty good. Yes, okay, and then I have that bit of cardstock on the belly band in the centre that I'm going to stick this flower down to, give it a press, make sure I'm happy with where it's sitting, and it moved. So I'm going to give it a press again, slide that insert back in. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of decoration on this little side pocket. So this is a cutout from the Knitwits collection, and I have backed that on a bit of cardstock and inked around it. And I'm just going to place it down on, well, I'm going to place it down there on the pocket, and I think that I'm going to slide something into the top of that as an extra decoration. So I just need to put a little bit more glue on that side bit there so that it doesn't come outside. Clean up the glue because I always get glue everywhere. And then, there we go, clean up that glue. And I've decided to put that little die cut of a slide in there, and that little die cut is backed with a bit of the scrapbook paper, and I've also, it's got little flowers on it, and I've just put a little bit of glossy accent on the flowers. And then I'm just going to put a hole in the corner, and then I'm going to go off in search of a bit of string that I can put through there. Oh, I'm thinking about putting an eyelet in there, but I've changed my mind. So I'm just going looking for a piece of string, so let's wait till they get back and then we can see what I've done. Okay, so I found this piece of gold cord that I actually put away. I never put anything away while I'm working on an album, but I found this gold string and I've already used this in the album in different places, so I'm just going to thread that through there, and then I'm going to attach this little word tag, which doesn't appear to be very easy. I'm trying to get both of those pieces through, so that's the first one through, and then I'm going to try and get the second piece, or end of that string through, and then I've given up and I'm going to find my tweezers, my ever trusty tweezers, to poke it through. And once I get both of those bits through there, I'm just going to tie a knot in the end. I'm sizing it to see how long I want it to sit. I'm going to tie a knot in the end. Make sure I'm happy with that. Pop it in there like that. I really like having little dangly things in albums. I think it just adds to the effect. So there I've got that little word tag hanging off there, and that's that page done. Well, no, it's not. I've got the front section here. So I'm going to trim down a piece from the collection. I'm just trying to rough it. There we go. So this piece here, it's a little border strip from the Knitwits collection, and I'm just going to size that up and trim it off. And the reason that I'm putting that there is when I cut my mat out, I cut it a bit wonky and there's a little white strip down the side. It's not so noticeable on the screen, but it was noticeable to me. So I just want to cover that up. So this strip I've backed on a bit of cardstock, and then I'm gluing it, and I'm going to place it down. And it has some flowers on there, and I've put a couple of, or one or two little diamantes on there as well, and some glossy accents just on those flowers. And that's, then I've got a little love heart. Now that's also from the Knitwits collection, and I've backed it on a bit of cardstock and then put some glossy accents on it. And now I'm just cutting around that cardstock and making sure that you can't see it. Trying to get that little bit off in that little section of the love heart that comes down. A little bit of ink and some glue, and I'm just going to pop that with my tweezers right there. Cute. Now I'm just going to slide one of these little faux slides in there, and that's that page done. Tie it up, try again. Lovely. Okay, so on this page, I'm also going to put a little love heart on that little half circle tuck spot that we've got there. Again, that's from the collection, and again I have put some glossy accents on there, and I've dropped it and I put glue everywhere. So I definitely need to give that a little wipe, and back in she goes. And that's all I'm doing on that little tuck spot there. And that little tuck spot is a little little semicircle from the SVG file, so it has that nice lacy edge. And so here I have, I think it's a paper clip. Yeah, I've got a paper clip, and I'm trying to attach this paper clip and bead or a little charm onto the side of this. What is it? It's like a little. It's a stamp from Kaisercraft, and I have put an eyelet in the corner and a little flower, and I'm trying to attach it to. There we go. It's got a little love heart charm. I was just trying to attach it to that little slide and put it on there. Cute. Then we just have this last flip out here, and I'm trying to find a border piece to go on there. So this border piece is also from the collection. It's the same one that I used before, and again I've put a little bit of glossy accents on the flowers, and I've put some diamantes on there as well. Just can't help myself with the glossy accents and the bling. So I'm just trimming it down to fit the side of this page. And I'm just going to round the edges because that mat has been rounded on the edges as well, and I just want it to slide onto that mat and sit on top of that. And I'm going to use it as a little tuck spot as well, so I'm only going to put glue down the side. I'm not going to glue it on completely so that I can slide something in there. So here I am just putting glue around the edges, and then I'm just going to pop it on the side there. It's been really easy to decorate with this collection because it gives you so many pieces that you can embellish with. So I've just popped a couple of paper clips on there to hold it in place until it dries. And that is going to be that for now. So I had to go away and do some domestic duties, but when I came back, that piece that I'd stuck on before was dry, so I removed the paper clips. And here's a piece that I had already prepared earlier. It's just a little banner piece that I cut out of cardstock and then attached some of the flowers from the Knitwits collection. And of course I put a bit of glossy accents on those and some diamantes. And now I have a couple more little tiny flowers that I am going to attach on there as well. Those are also from the collection, and I have put some glossy accents on those and some little diamantes. This is a piece that I also prepared earlier, and it's just a little die cut of a Polaroid or a little slide negative piece, and then I've backed that with some of the scrapbook paper and put that's not a flower, that's definitely a heart. And that's from the Knitwits collection with a bit of glossy accents. And in the corner I've put a little eyelet, and it's got a little word dangle tag off it that says dream. I'm putting that other flower down the bottom there, looking back at the page that I did before, and I'm happy with that. Moving on to the next page. So on this page I have that little semicircle lace tuck spot, and I've just chosen another heart from the Knitwits collection, and I'm just going to pop that one on there in the centre. And on that next page, I don't think I'd decided what I wanted to do, so I just skipped that, and I think I'm coming back to that later. So on this next page I have already prepared a little cluster with a love heart and 3 little flowers around it, and I'm just going to pop that straight on that little pocket down there. Again, the flowers have glossy accents on them and some little diamantes. And then flipping over to the next page, I'm taking one of these little frames again. I think these ones are small, so I think you could say that they're probably more like slide size. And I'm putting an eyelet in the corner of that, and then I'm going to attach another one of those little word charms, and this one says love. So I've got my 2 pairs of jewellery pliers out so I can open up that little split ring and pop it on there on the word charm, and then attach it to the piece. And I have given that split ring and the eyelet a little drop of gold alcohol ink, just so that it sort of goes with everything else that I've got in the album, because everything's gold at this stage. I never use gold, so I didn't have any in my stash, but alcohol ink is fabulous. So now I have another one of those labels, and again I have backed it with a couple of those to give it a little bit more strength. I put a brad on each side of it and backed it with some scrapbook paper, and I'm just popping that right there. Easy. Now on this waterfall page I have these 6 little flowers, and I'm just going to line those up, 3 on either side, and glue them down. And again, they're shiny because they've been coated in glossy accents, and they all have little diamantes for the centerpieces of those flowers. So I like to use my tweezers when I'm dealing with these tiny little pieces, because I just can't seem to line them up very well, or I end up with glue all over my fingers. So this way it's just a little bit easier. So I'm just popping those down, and I'm watching this video and doing the voiceover, and I have discovered that it is so much harder to do a voiceover afterwards than it is just to talk all the way through your videos. But this video is actually really long. I've sped it up, and just to watch this in real time would have been very tiresome. So I just had a look at that one and made sure that I'm happy with that. And now I'm moving on to this page. So I had used a paper clip that I'd put a little bit of the gold alcohol ink on to hold this tag in place on the next page, but it made a bit of a mark on my tag, so I'm just attaching a love heart over the top of that little mark so they can't see it anymore, and that never happened. There you go. I'm just cleaning up the glue, flicking backwards and forwards, I'm not really sure why, and then I want to attach that on there, and it's a little bit off frame, but I'm desperate to use that paper clip, and I'm trying it again. And then I'm just sliding in another one of those little slide out die cuts there, you can see that. And on that paper clip I've attached a charm. So here on this page where we've done the sort of laced up page, I've already prepared these little flower clusters, and as you can see I have used the same types of embellishments all the way through. So essentially I've used love hearts from the collection and flowers from the collection and lots of little slides and Polaroids, and so the decorations or the embellishments are fairly consistent throughout the whole album, and I'd like to say that's because I wanted to keep it consistent, but it's probably more to do with the fact that my creativity was probably a bit burned out by this stage. So again, I'm just attaching some of those little labels from the collection or tags, and I've put some brads on the corner, on the edge of each of those, just to make it look a little bit more realistic and add a bit more bling. So So then I'm opening it up, not going to do anything in there, so moving on to the next page. So I had to take a little break there, but when I came back I flipped back over to the page that I'd been working on before and realised that I hadn't put anything on this corner pocket. So I've just attached this little stamped image from a Kaisercraft stamp, which is basically just a label which I had attached a love heart to. And that was that. So now I flipped back over to this page here, and on this little pocket I'm just putting this little label, and that's from the Knitwits collection, and I've put a little bit of glossy accents on those flowers, and that's it for that page. Then I have exactly the same label but a little bit bigger that I'm going to put on this flip out page, but I've left it open at the top so that I can use it as a tuck spot. Now on this page I'm going to use this banner or border piece again, and so I have put some glossy accents on the flowers, of course, and scattered a few diamantes around, and now I'm just cutting it down to the same size as the mat itself, and I had backed it on a bit of cardstock, so I just pulled the cardstock off so that you had that nice edge and didn't see any of that cardstock. And just trimming off that edge a little bit more again and popping it down on top. And I quite like how that looks. Just lining it up, making sure it's well attached. So this is the last page, and I have got another one of those belly bands. So I'm just going to do exactly the same thing on this belly band as I did on the one earlier in the album, just using this stick-on diamante strip. Again, I'm just trimming it off so that it doesn't run all the way across, and there's a spot for my flower to stick straight to that cardstock. Here we go again with trying to line up the diamante strips, and it looks like that was a bit easier for me this time. I'm just measuring out that diamante strip to go on the other side, making sure I've got room for my flower. Then cutting off that diamante strip, and I'm going to lay it down. I think it must have been easier for me to line up that way, but look, even though I cut it in half, you really can't tell that, well, there's no cardstock left, so I'm just going to peel up these little edges and trim off that bit there on both sides so that the flower will stick to the cardstock on the belly band and not to those diamantes. So just trimming that off. Popping that flower down on there. Giving her a really good push by the look of it. Stick on there. Okay, and then all I have left is the back cover. So on this back cover, I'm just trying to decide which piece I'm going to put on here of all the little bits that I have already pre-prepared. So I've got this stamped image here, and it's a Kaisercraft stamp, and I've backed it with a bit of cardstock and put a love heart on there. Seems like I'm not sure if that's what I want or not. A little bit indecisive, but in the end I do decide that that's what I'm going to put on there. And so I'm just going to put some glue on there and then attach it. And that's as much as I do on the back cover. So now I'm just going to flip through and see if I'm happy with everything, if there's anything I've missed or want to add in. I'm a little bit off screen. Here we go. That's better. Okay, and I hadn't put anything on here, so I'm going back to there trying to decide what it is that I want to put on that page. So it looks like I'm going to put a split ring on there, on that little stamped image. So again, that's one of the little Kaisercraft stamp images, and it looks like a little sort of antique slide with a little fancy filigree on the edges. And I've just backed it with a bit of cardstock and a little flower, and I've put one of those little word charms on it again, and this one says wish. So now I'm just trying to decide which way up it should go, and turns out that that little split ring is around the wrong way, so I need to finagle it around to the other side or the other corner and get it around there. Attach that little word charm again, and then when I'm happy with that, I'm just going to pop it down with some glue straight onto that right there, bit of glue, and I'm just going to put it straight down on that little flip out door, and that's that. Thanks for watching this video today of embellishing the pages of the Broderie SVG Mini Album, and I hope you have a look at some of the other videos in this series. See you again soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.